small till it ain't, till it ain't, till it ain't, till it ain't. I'm building up a wall till it breaks. She hated when I call and it's late. I don't wanna keep you waiting. I hope I never keep you waiting. She think I know it all, but I don't.
All right. Well, hi, Caitlin.
Hey Scott.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great, actually. It's a Friday afternoon, working
Yeah.
on some DAGs on a little piece of paper, feeling all causal. Good. I'm good.
Well, this is great. This is the third episode of this is either the second or the third episode of The Odd Couple. Are you excited to get together today and do research together with the third member of The Odd Couple, Claude Code?
Yes, with our friend Claude. I recently made the mistake of texting my husband that I thought I was falling in love with Claude, and I did. That's maybe not what you're supposed to tell your romantic partner. Yes, our friend, our very good friend
All
and co-author Claude. Yeah, let's jump in.
All right. So, for those that are tuning in, the concept of our podcast here is we're using Claude Code. Me and Caitlin are using Claude Code to do economics research, find data, clean it, build identification strategies, code it up, and we're recording the whole thing. And the big puzzle of the season is it possible to make a podcast where two people are programming with a robot on a computer? That's it, right?
Yep.
That more or less it.
Has anybody tried this before? It's like, what? Listen to us code.
Listen to us code.
We
Exactly.
think
No,
it's going to be
we're
interesting.
pioneers. I always thought I was a pioneer, and I'm glad finally I get a chance to do it.
Pioneer sounds like a euphemism, but let's go for it.
Okay, all right. So before we get started, let's do it real quick. Introductions. Caitlin, tell us for the listener, tell us your full name and all the titles, the fancy titles, and who pays your paycheck.
Oh, goodness gracious. The full name, I'm Caitlin Myers. I am an economist at Middlebury College. They pay my paycheck. My fancy titles, I'm the John G. McCullough Professor of Economics at Middlebury College. And I primarily study the effects of reproductive policies in the United States.
Oh, what was that guy's name that's got your title? John what?
John G. McCullough, he's a former governor of Vermont. And,
Oh,
if you're curious, if you ever want to come back up to Vermont, you can visit his mansion. It's about an hour south of Middlebury.
oh,
And when I got this endowed chair, I went down to like check it out, look for skeletons in the closet.
like
Any
literally.
reason not to want his name on my title.
You're like every
Yeah,
closet, you're pulling it open.
I legit asked the docent if there was anything I needed to know about this John G. McCullough.
Oh man, he didn't give you the tea, the dirty, the
He
there was
said that
there
John G.
was no.
McCullough was a man beyond reproach, and I said, "Okay,
Oh,
that's good enough for me."
oh man, I want like the Billy the Kid chair. You know,
Yeah,
he's like I want to know all the dirt. He's like, sit down, I have a long story. We're gonna watch Young Guns together, and we're gonna learn Billy the Kid.
Young
Uh,
Guns.
I watched it the other day. It holds up.
I was ex No, Scott, it was never, first of all, you're not allowed to like that movie. And second of all, that movie came out when I was exactly the right age of teenage girl to have a crush on every single actor in it.
Every one of them.
Plus the Bon Jovi song, so
That was Young
yeah.
Guns too. I think that was Young Guns too that had it. Was it which one was the John Bon Jovi song?
Going Down in a Blaze of Glory. Don't make me sing
Yeah.
it
Okay. All
because
right.
I could.
That's going to be the opening and the ending of the
Perfect.
podcast from now on. Okay,
Uh,
good.
okay, you're gonna have to probably pay a licensing fee, but
Okay. All right. Well, I'm Scott Cunningham. I'm the Ben H. Williams Professor of Economics at Baylor. I'm visiting at Harvard right now in the Gov department, teaching in Boston. And Caitlin and I are old co-authors going back to about 6 years ago. We're both from the South, living up in New England.
Yes, people may detect slight Southern accents from both
They
of us.
might. That's right, exactly.
And I'll
Cool.
bless your heart at some point today.
You're gonna bless my heart.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, let's see. So let's go ahead and get started. We kind of had a little bit of an icebreaker. So let's go ahead and get started. So let's recap what we did last episode. What do you remember? What for the sake of the listener, do you remember the highlights being that we did last time? The big
Well,
one.
I know the highlight for me, but we did much more than that. But basically, we have this idea of using policy variation that was generated in Texas in 2013, when we know that there was this a law that the state began enforcing. Almost overnight, it closed half of Texas's abortion facilities on November 1st, 2013. There are multiple papers, including papers that both of us, one paper where we're both co authors, and other papers that we've worked on, that look at the effects of this change in abortion access, primarily on fertility. But we're really interested in whether there were also effects on marriage patterns. And so we've used Claude, our friend Claude, to help us get up and running, creating a project folder, starting to research the literature. And in particular, what I'm very excited about is that Claude has found data for us that record marriages in Texas. And that I didn't even know before we started this project that you could get access to public data recording marriages. And we were just starting to look at it. And for
Yeah.
me, that was the really exciting place where we left off.
Yeah. Yeah. I think what was cool about it, there was a couple of things we did last time that I think surprised both of us. One of them was maybe even worth just mentioning. The what we had wanted to do was we wanted Claude to find the replication package of our Journal of Human Resources article with Jason Lindo and Andrea Schlosser 2020. The journal had required that the data and all the code be stored online in a replication archive.
Yep.
And so it is easy enough to do to go get it. For some reason, Claude couldn't get it, right? There was like he could not grab it. Was he need like a login or something? Wasn't that what happened?
Yeah, I think it might be at ICPSR and you might have to have an account. We could have maybe
Right.
given it one of
We could have
ours.
done it, yeah.
Yeah.
But what was weird was that we had a Claude markdown document, claude.md, in our main folder, and the rule was he was never allowed to search over my machine.
Hmm.
But while you and I were talking, and I was absent-mindedly, habitually clicking permit, giving him permission to every single thing he did,
Yeah.
he asked for permission to go search my computer, and I gave him the permissions, even though we had made an agreement not to do that, and I had done it, and he just searched my computer until he found, amazingly enough, found the replication package stored on, not the replication package, the original Dropbox folder.
Now, what percent of your reaction to this is like gratitude and wonder versus fear?
Yeah, it's both. I mean, on the one hand, he asked permission, so it's like, that's good. He did ask permission because, but the thing was that this is what always concerns me. This is the new thing that concerns me about AI. That there's a lot of stuff that concerns me about AI, but one of them is how I am starting to free ride and not pay attention.
Right.
And I think that is the thing. And I notice I don't, if I'm noticing it in one area, then that probably is the tip of the iceberg. There's got to be stuff I'm not really as dialed into. Now, I am not the most, I'm not already, I was telling you earlier, Caitlin, that I'm at my mom's in Memphis right now. And this morning, I packed for the weekend the clothes that I was going to wear, put on my backpack, got on the plane, got to Memphis, and did not bring any of those clothes with me. So I'm already, so I'd left. I like woke up at 4, packed, and then didn't actually put it in the bag. So I already am very absent-minded and not paying attention, way too much. So the fact that I went to all this trouble to write that mark down to say he's not allowed to do stuff, and within 20 minutes was just giving him the keys to the car,
Right.
it is like I know that I am at least susceptible to it, but I do think that there is a moral hazard, or there is like an moral hazard type of, which one is it? Is it adverse selection or moral? It's moral hazard where you engage in the behavior to that the incentives are to engage in the risky behavior that you're
Yeah.
trying to be safer. So like yeah, so there's like this moral hazard thing that I am worried about, which is it's doing such a good job that I'm sitting back with my feet propped up on the desk, and in fact, it's not doing as good of a job as I think it is.
Right. I mean, I'm more worried just about the vulnerabilities that it opens us up to. Because you get when you're working with Claude Code, there is just window after window after window that says, can I do this? Can I do this? Can I do this? Can I do this? And you get like you're doing other things. It's boring. We don't just want to be like, monkeys pressing the button over and over again. But that's like kind of what we risk becoming in some ways. And so you're
Yeah.
like, yeah, go look for that thing.
Right.
Um, yeah, I,
But
my
here's the
reaction is at least as much fear as it is gratitude and
yeah,
wonder that
no.
it
So but
went
then that
wandering around your computer for the data.
but that was the thing. We never told him about that other folder.
Right.
He went and searched my entire computer, all these things, and somehow it's not just that he found the folder. How did he knew it was the right, he knew that that was what we were looking for, and we had never said it was on the machine, let alone that it had fingerprints that he could recognize. It's just these things are very hard for me to not be stunned by, you
Yeah,
know.
absolutely.
So we brought that in. And then our project is to look at the effect of the abortion clinic closures on marriage, new marriages, and new divorces. And
Hmm.
we tell him, and he goes and he finds Texas marriage county level individual marriage certificates and divorce. I guess it's called a divorce certificate by with individual
Yep.
names.
That was the part that surprised me is that I thought at best we would get something like county level counts, which is what you often see from a state vital statistics agency, right? You might be able to get county counts of various events. And if you're lucky, maybe broken down by demographics. Often you end up with suppression rules where small counts are suppressed and you end up not knowing about rural areas. So, I was expecting to be dealing with something like that. And the thing that really took me aback was when Claude opened the data, it was just a bunch of names. And I said to you, I got married in Texas in 2000. And I was like, man, if we'd gone farther back, we could just go find me right there.
Yep.
I was
Yep.
really surprised, and I also am intrigued that we have the individual names because I think there's a lot we might be able to do with that in
Right.
terms of like various algorithms and types of analyses for kind of predicting, for instance, race, ethnicity, based on the names that we can see.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and get started then.
Yeah.
So why don't we I'm going to share my screen. And why don't we start thinking through what we're going to do here? So I'm going to say, please read all the markdowns
Yep.
in
And
this
Scott,
folder. Yeah,
one thing I also want to just check up on because I honestly just don't remember is we know that the distance data in our replication package is a little bit out of date and that Open Science Framework has updated distance data and I can't
yeah.
remember if we snagged that or not.
I don't, I'll ask him. Yeah, I'll ask him. By chance, did we get the updated distance data that he
From and since I make the data, I know exactly where the data are. So you could put like from the Myers Abortion Facility database at Open Science Framework.
Myers, I said Myers-Briggs. Wait, what's it called? Myers what?
What? And now I want to know your Myers-Briggs.
INFP. Myers.
INTJ. Now we know everything about each other.
Now we're done. Yeah. Wait, so what is it? Myers what?
Myers Abortion Facility database. I named it after myself. It was a mistake. I'm embarrassed. It's too late.
It's too late. So wait, by chance we think it's not it would not be the one. in the JHR folder that you found,
Right.
it would be something we put in to this folder, but we have no memory of it. Have no memory of it, of doing it, and probably maybe a timestamp.
Yeah.
Tell
And
us.
just to catch folks up who are listening, wondering, wait, what? So for our paper, I spent a lot of time tracking down abortion facility operations in Texas and surrounding states, and that's what we used. And those data are, I think, pretty darn good. There's not that much measurement error. But in the years since we wrote that paper, I have created a national database of abortion facilities. I update it every quarter. And, sometimes I do discover that there was like an error or something where I just get more information about a prior period. And I know in particular that there was a facility that reopened in Waco, and I was originally off by a couple months for when it reopened. So this is like super minor, but I'm like, there is an up-to-date version of this data set where it's as good as it could be
And it is
today.
only, where do we get it?
So it's an open science framework. I mean, it's on my computer, but if Claude wants to find it,
Yeah, that we want to try to.
I post this at Open Science Framework. What I post is a county by month panel for every county in the US of the
uh,
distance, the driving distance to the nearest abortion facility as
okay,
of the first of that month.
so it would only be, it would either be if he couldn't get. So let me ask you this: if he couldn't get the replication package, that doesn't mean that he couldn't get this, because these are,
Correct.
you're not just. But is it stored at the same type of facility that he would need that login?
Well, no, it's not at ICPSR, which is one repository for data. It's at Open Science Framework, which is another one I've started using since.
Mhm.
And what I don't know is if you have to have a login to download it.
He says, look what he says, Kaylin. He
Huh.
says that the data is there. It's 88 megs. It's called
Yeah.
2025 Myers Abortion Access County Month. Time stamped February 20th. We also grabbed the codebook PDF. It's the full panel, all US counties monthly, January '09 to 25. Driving distance. It's from
Yeah.
OSF.
Okay. Yeah, that's the most recent version published there. I'm actually this week going to publish an update, but
Okay.
this should be good enough.
Okay, good. All right. So let's look through this. So this is his description of the divorce data, the marriage and divorce data. Because what I said to him was, me and Caitlin were really surprised you found marriage and divorce certificates with people's names. How is that possible? Question mark, question mark, question mark. Can you tell us more about these data? And he says, why do they have names? So these are Texas DSHS vital stats index files. And yes, they are genuinely public records with individuals' names. Here's why. Marriage index. Texas is an open record state for vital statistics indexes. The Marriage License Application Index is published by DSHS as a public lookup tool. Each record has a state file number. Are you following this so
Oh.
far?
I think so, although I have to say, I'm always in the weeds, Scott, and I have questions immediately coming up about these records that are probably a side quest we don't want to go on today, but I'm
Okay. All right.
wondering, like, if a Texas resident gets married in another state,
Let's
would that
ask.
be recorded here? I think it might not be,
Yeah, that's
unless,
right.
yeah,
A Texas resident got married in Louisiana in this time period. Is that is that marriage recorded in these DSHS vital stats index files? And if not, why not be clear about it? All right.
great.
So it's got 138,000. The 2020 file alone has 138,000. Is that how many marriages happen in a year in a state like Texas in a year?
That feels low to me. This
In
is
a
a weird
year?
thing to compare it to, but I think there were probably about 50,000 abortions in Texas that year. Seems like you'd have a lot more marriages than abortions, but
Huh.
I don't know.
Okay.
Is there anything we could check it against just
Yeah.
to kind of
This is
assess?
okay. Let's make this our goal then. So here we go. These would not be in the file. Texas resident drove to Louisiana, got married there. The marriage would appear in Louisiana's vital statistics, not Texas. It's a measurement issue worth keeping in mind.
Yeah.
House Bill 2 induced changes in fertility or relationship decisions causing some couples to marry out of state. They'll be missing.
Yep. That's
Okay.
fine. I don't think that's going to be a big deal. I just want to know, when you write up the paper and you write up the limitations, or you just describe it, right? We just
Yeah.
describe these are marriages that take place in state.
Okay, so this is a quality question. So articulate for me what it is that you're wanting answered. Tell me what it is you're wanting answered about the quality of the data. You're wanting to do some kind of checking against something
Yeah,
else.
I 138,000 records, and I think that means 138,000 marriages. I think it was specifically marriage records, right? That just
Mhm.
sounds low to me for a state with Texas's population.
So you say, Caitlin, all right, so Caitlin says 138,500 marriage certificates in 2000 for a state like Texas with 31 million residents seems low.
You know Texas's population off the top of your head?
Yeah, because yeah, I do. It's,
Wow.
41% of them live in 5 counties, so I also know that too.
And
Uh,
Harris County's one.
yep, Harris, Dallas,
Yep.
Arlington, Austin, and San Antonio.
Wow.
So it's got 254 counties too. So Caitlin says 138,500 marriage certificates in 2000 for a state like Texas with 31 million residents seems low to her. Her reasons had to do with what she said was the total number of abortions. What was that?
About 50,000 a year.
About 50.
Obviously, before the Dobbs decision and the ban, of course.
Right. So we need some verification. And therefore, what we are asking now is that you do an independent audit of the quality of these data against known verified sources about total marriage counts for this time period that is not these data that we are looking at. And we want two. We want two. Number one, do that. Number two, create a pipeline replicable in R that does it. Three, create beautiful figures and beautiful tables showing it in a beautiful deck explaining what you've done. Make
Make sure it's
it
beautiful, Scott.
make it interesting, right? The audience is me, Caitlin, and all the people on our podcast listening. All right. So he's gonna make a beautiful deck. The deck should, and this deck should have an original Beamer style aesthetic that you've selected and designed for us.
Now it
And
asks you questions, and no matter what it
I,
asks, you're going to
I
tell it
didn't ask you.
okay.
I know. Yeah,
They're
exactly.
like popping up on your screen. You're like, whatever you want, Claude.
Whatever you want, whatever you want, whatever you want. And we will use that henceforth. This is oh my gosh. This is oh, he's digging into everything and he's
Yeah, he is.
okay.
It's these web search pop-ups. So for folks who are listening, yes, we did just decide to make a data visualization for radio. Uh, it has to be beautiful.
Right.
And also there are 40 cajillion pop-ups appearing on Scott's screen, primarily because Claude is wanting to go search, I think, for the data that it can use to validate the marriage counts.
Yes. This is gonna be original aesthetic you do in Beamer for us from now on. Make it professional and pretty. All right. So he's going to do that too. So the other thing he's doing here is he's going to so while he's doing this, I wanted to ask you something. Um have you seen anybody fully have Claude fully make a paper from scratch?
No. No,
So
well, not that anybody's admitting.
Yeah, it's a thing that people are doing on the internet to show that you can do it. They'll just sort of type in there and they'll say, I don't have an idea. I want you to come up with the idea. I'm a labor economist, and I want you to come up with an idea for a project. You have to find the data. You have to have the research question. You have to then go come up with an identification strategy. You have to then write all the code yourself, replicable, it has to be correct. You have to choose the econometric estimator, and then you have to do the falsifications, and then you must write the entire thing yourself in whatever voice you want. And it is can do it in a couple hours.
I did see, I take it back. When I said no, I did see on your Substack that you
Yeah.
had done this for a paper. And let me try to remember, it was looking at the effect of marijuana legalization. That's what it decided to do on what were your outcomes?
Labor, it was employment, wages, and mortality.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I just find this like dystopian, to be honest.
That's what I wanted to get your thoughts about. What are you worried about? What do you think? Walk me through as an
What
economist.
am I not?
Walk,
What am I
walk me
not worried
through.
about?
Okay, but give me the positive economics and give me the normative economics. Like, tell me what you think is going to happen if you can write a full manuscript or you can 3D print a manuscript like that in a couple of hours. Tell me what you think is going to happen, and then tell me what you think will be what is it going to tell me the ethical things that you're worried about? The
I
behavioral
wonder,
equilibrium things first.
well, like I said, I mean, how am I worried? Let me count the ways, but I'll throw a few at you. I'm worried about a dystopian, not so distant future in which AI is just writing papers for AI, right? Like we've just basically outsourced this. And
Mhm.
if AI can write these papers and AI can read these papers and AI can write the referee reports, and then we just ask AI a question or two, we have really separated ourselves from the process of formulating the question and answering the question rigorously. I start to worry about errors that self-propagate. I start to worry about possible parallels of this to kind of our news environment, right? So initially, there was a story about how the internet would dramatically expand our ability to access information and communities and news. And
Yeah.
in reality, what the internet has done to news is created all of these little niches that people go down, really reduced the kind of trust in and respect for journalists,
Yeah.
trust in and respect for truths and facts. It's just like there's a lot of slop out there. And I'm worried that AI just produces an enormous amount of academic slop. And if we're supposed to be the source of facts and truth and insights, then what are we doing here?
Do you feel like humans have been good at avoiding creating human slop, though?
No, but we've created our human slop on a human scale. So now we
Yeah.
have, I'm thinking about what's
Right.
that E.O. Wilson quote? I'm going to get it a little bit wrong probably, but here's my version of it, which is that our problem is we have Paleolithic brains, medieval institutions, and godlike technology. And
Mm,
this is a godlike technology. And
mm,
it's not that, I mean, science, of course, science makes mistakes, right? I believe
mhm.
economics is a science, hot take. Could argue about that one day also. At least applied micro. Let me just throw some grenades here on the podcast. um, Macro, I'll asterisk. But like I do believe that we're a science, and I understand that science is fallible. Science makes mistakes, but we have this method that is self-correcting, right?
Mhm.
And we
What's the
self
method? What's the method?
well, through the scientific method, it involves, for instance, replication, enormous amounts of replication. We go back over it and over it and over it. And AI perhaps could replicate for us. Like I can see that advantage, but I also could see that AI produces such an incredible volume of output,
Yes.
so much output. It is such a black box. We don't necessarily like, you wrote a paper overnight with Claude Code, but did it make a mistake? I don't think you know. And I'm just kind of worried that we aren't able to self-correct. And
Mm,
and this is actually kind of a best case scenario, which is just there's a ton of slop. There's an enormously kind of new amount of slop, and it makes it harder to find truth. It also makes it easier to manipulate the
mhm.
truth, right?
Let
And
me ask you
so if
something.
they're, if we've got agents out there that actually are seeking to manipulate the truth, this is, or our perception of the truth, this is a great way to go about it.
Let me ask you something philosophical. When you are working on a project, tell me a point where you would say that you believe a result. Quote, I believe a result, right? Like I want you to imagine a high school kid is listening right now and they don't
Yeah,
understand what a result is. So could you just tell me real quick, what does it mean for Caitlin Myers to quote, believe one of her results? What, give me an example of when that has happened.
I never 100% believe anything.
Okay, got it.
That
Got it.
is my nature, and I think that it's a common one among scientists, which
Yeah.
is what we look for is an enormous amount of evidence, right? Like what we look to do. Let's take a question that I've worked on. I've worked on what was the effect of abortion liberalization in the 1960s and 1970s on teen births, right?
Mhm.
That's a pretty narrow topic. That's a pretty narrow question. I think it's an important question, but it's pretty narrow, right? So this is what we typically do. We frame like a pretty narrow question. I and others have tackled that question every which way we can think of. There are multiple papers, multiple research designs, multiple replication efforts. I know there's like graduate students and classes where they replicate like my paper on this. And
Yeah.
so I would look at it this way. Hundreds of people have run thousands of models, and to my knowledge, nobody has reached a conclusion that contradicts mine, which is abortion liberalization dramatically reduced the number of teen moms.
Mm,
I think the evidence there is as strong as it possibly could be.
mhm.
And as time passes and we get new tools and new people looking at it, like you've always got to be willing to change your mind if new evidence comes in.
Right.
But what it takes for me to feel pretty like damn confident, I would say, is a a lot of people tackling the problem and a lot of replication
Mm.
and
It does
convergent
not
results.
happen on your own project. So when do you
Um,
know how to write it up?
I test it. I would test an answer with everything I could possibly throw at it. Like I don't want to bring a conclusion out into the world until I feel as confident as I can about it. And
Yeah.
so I guess for me to get there, I spend an extraordinary amount of time thinking really carefully about the data, messing with the data, looking at trends, looking for outliers, like stuff that you just never see in the paper.
Yeah.
A lot of time making sure that I deeply understand the policy context, the historical context, the data that I've got, throwing every model I can at it. Um, and when I feel like I've got a deep understanding and convergent results, that's when I'm ready to kind of take it to everybody else and say, all right, this is what I'm finding. But I don't use that word believe, you know?
That's what I was wondering. That's what I was wondering. So that's interesting. You're not saying believe.
No,
You're saying it's not that you're saying I believe it. It's you're saying I'm ready to say it.
I'm ready to say all evidence points to this conclusion. Prove me wrong.
Mm.
That's what I get to on a paper, right?
How much
That's the
time
result.
you so so this is a good question because you get there through your own time use historically, right?
Yes,
Like you see the inputs are like you're observing things with your eyes and you're processing it in your mind, but you're only observing the things that you made through your own skilled effort that was your
right,
use of your time, right?
right. And we all have
So,
our blind spots.
and we all have our blind spots.
Hmm.
So anything that would allow you to go and use less of your time to do those things would seem like it would allow you to make those statements sooner.
Yeah.
But do you think that that's missing something?
Yeah,
Like
I do. I mean, I agree
before
with you.
AI, like before AI, if I said, Kate, you've got some way of working, and then I say, Caitlin, I'm going to upgrade your computer, or I'm going to give you a second RA.
Yeah. Right.
And now you're gonna, and you could say, that's great because I'm gonna get to the answer faster, right?
Maybe though, I think the fixed input is my own brain and bandwidth. And, there are going to be diminishing returns to RAs and there are going to be potentially diminishing returns to AI assistants. But I will say I'm using Claude Code. It has, in 1 month of use, completely transformed how I do research. I'm using it every day, all the time. It was down for a couple hours the other morning and I was bereft. That is when I texted my husband that I thought I really loved Claude and I missed him a lot.
Right.
So don't get me wrong, Scott. Like I'm using it like crazy because if I don't, I will be obsolete next week. I think you've got to get on this bandwagon. And I do think I will probably be able to produce at least 3 times as much research. Let's say 3 times as many papers, as that's how we're going to quantify it, in a
Hmm.
year with Claude Code than I would alone. It is making me more productive. And when I say that, I don't think those papers will be lower quality. I think that
Hmm.
I will still, before I'm willing to let them see the light of day, like I'm going to go through things really carefully. But Claude Code speeds me up a lot.
Okay.
So all of that is there. And I think it comes at a cost. I I feel a little less special
Sure.
not being the one running everything.
Yeah.
Like I'll tell you, there's a certain sense of satisfaction I get when I've spent the day coding something and I finally have the whole nice set of robustness checks. And unlike a lot of senior economists, I've been out of how many years has it been since I got my PhD? 20 some. I still do like a ton of my own coding.
Yeah.
I like the feeling,
Sure.
and so I think there is going to be a loss. Like I'm kind of like, oh, I got to do this now.
Well, I was just asking it because, historically the input, the capital, I guess, or whatever these things are that you could give a researcher that would help them go faster, compared to AI, they just seem to be like pretty ordinary. They're like, make my computer faster,
Right.
right? And like, or because, but it would never be like everything that you got that was making you faster. The thing was, it was never really ceteris paribus because the world was getting more complicated. The data was becoming more
Yeah.
complicated. There were new programming languages I had to learn. It always kind of felt like I was more in a race to stay at the same level of product of like, of like what I could realistically do. So where I'm getting at is like, what if you were able now with Claude Code to reach the tables and the figures and all of the work that you would have historically said to the world, this is what the evidence support points to. And I also did a bunch of other stuff that I'm not going to show you, and I am now ready to say it. What do you think now, if you learned Claude Code could do what took you a year in 4 hours? Did all of it, and there was no mistakes. Like you might say, you're saying there could be mistakes, but you've got a system, a Claude system that has verified that there are no mistakes. What do you think that that is going to be? Do you think that that is the same? Do you think that you are going to arrive faster now at that place where you're willing to tell people things?
I do.
Okay.
And I don't think I'm going to be happier for it.
Mhm.
I feel kind of trapped in this technological revolution because I think for me, the joy of life, like one of the most meaningful things that I do in my life is figure something new out.
Totally.
And it's the figuring it out, it's the process that I love. And I
Yeah.
guess I should care about the, public benefit of the actual knowledge.
Right.
Um, AI is going to help us produce a lot more knowledge. And I'm gonna miss gonna miss the old days. They're
Yeah.
gone, you know what I mean? Like they're gone. I can tell they're gone already. But I'm gonna miss it. And I'm gonna feel a little bit like, in Wall-E where the characters are all in their recliners with their like
Totally.
sippy, yeah, their sippy drinks, the Pixar movie for people who don't know. I feel a little bit like that intellectually already.
Hmm.
And you've got to wonder what's gonna happen if enshittification occurs, to use this word that's been coined by, is it Noah Smith who coined this? I'm
What
trying.
is this? What is it called?
Enshittification.
I don't know that word.
Oh my goodness.
What does it mean?
It's okay. So I'm afraid that I will like get this wrong. Oh, it's Cory Doctorow. Of course it's Cory Doctorow. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I would misattribute it. So basically, the idea is that there's kind of this cycle in the tech industry where a new product is developed and they make it really, really good to capture a lot of interest, like Facebook in its early days and everybody like abandoning
Mm.
MySpace to come over to this amazing product and really enjoying it. And there's like a ton of consumer surplus that people have. And then as the company gets older and has captured this market, they start to extract all the value they can out of it from a captive audience. And it gets worse and worse and worse. Like, in my opinion, Facebook is terrible now. I think Amazon has gone through this, and now you can't trust any of the Amazon search results, right? Once we're all kind of in our recliners with our intellect, with our sippy cups, and Claude is just doing all of our research for us, we've ceded a whole lot of power to companies whose interests might not be aligned with our own.
Yeah.
And like I'll keep using the word dystopian.
Hmm.
I worry about that.
Yeah. Uh, totally. The the devil's advocate point I want to say real quick is if you step back and you ask yourself, why have we organized society in such a way that we have human beings that are working on particular kind of cognitive work? It's really never been for their joy and their satisfaction. It's always been for the sake of the community, both the one immediately that lives right now and the one that will live in each subsequent generation. It's the creation of facts about how the world works so that we can go and tell our theorists that they have things wrong and that we can go whisper in the ears of princes and tell them to change the world. And so the point was always that. And what if the only way we were able to get that as a society to happen was to pick the people that found it fun to do it? And now that is a legacy appendage that isn't needed anymore. That you don't need to have people that are fun, that find it fun to do research. I think about this all the time because I'm exactly like you. I love, I love the process. I don't
Mhm.
like the publishing. Have several times gotten R&Rs and I just stop. I mean, it's like I love the discovery. I love the
Yeah,
work.
I hate that point.
I
The
hate it.
R&R
I
point.
hate
Oh,
it. That, running a marathon is 26.2 miles, and the hardest part of a marathon is the last zero point 0.2 miles by far. That is the hardest part of a marathon is the zero point 0.2 at the end.
yeah.
And that's how it feels after I get the R&R. It's like, that I just want to, I'm ready to stop. 26 miles is a lot, you know? So,
Yep.
so to me, it's like, I'm really torn a little bit because what is the point of all of this? What exactly is the point? Isn't the point to create facts about the world?
I don't know. I mean, yes. I think though that the point of being human, I think that we all require purpose and that we all require some sort of challenge. We want to work, we want to move, we don't want to just lie in our recliners floating around like Wally, right? I don't think most people do. I think people want meaningful work. And what makes the work meaningful is producing the new knowledge. And if we're no longer required to produce the knowledge, the meaning will be removed from this work. And then we've got some really like kind of fundamental deep questions to ask about what's left for us. Like what is the important work here?
Yeah.
If AI could do it, what why are we?
Yeah. I want this is probably going to be a conversation that we keep having because I don't really I when by me by me asking it, I'm not saying that I um don't agree with you. I completely agree that people need purpose and meaning. They are purpose and meaning is endogenous, of course. It's created by inside of a person. And if you choose to make it be about a paper, that's fine. But ultimately, if we were to kind of pull back and say, what do you wish happened more? That we had a cure for cancer or that we had scientists that found it deeply meaningful to try to find a cure for cancer? Right? And then all of us would go, well, those scientists need to go find a hobby. Like that's what you would say to them. You would go, of course the answer is the discovery of this life-saving tool. And this is where I get really confused because I'm like, well, isn't economics a science too? Aren't we doing things that matter? Isn't the work that we do even possibly more important in some ways because of the trying to organize society in such a way that people are lifted out of poverty and have better lives? So
Mhm.
like, isn't this stuff important? So then what is the right way? And I guess I'm not really I'm until I saw Claude make that paper like a month ago or whatever, and then I just started sitting and thinking about it. And I just started to wonder if I was needed anymore.
Right.
I mean, I frankly kind of always thought I sort of, what is it called? Kicking ahead of your coverage. I've always kind of felt like I was lucky to have a job. But so it's not like I think like the world is going to be worse off if I'm not if I'm not in the loop, but it is weird still. Somebody's like that. You're like that. I mean, so I am just sitting here wondering, am I really just do do humans not have the comparative advantage in producing economic facts about the world? Is this like
Right.
is that true? Put aside the feelings. Like, is that a true fact that humans do not have a comparative advantage in it? Is it heterogeneous? Is it that they have a comparative advantage
Over
in
what? Over
some
AI?
over producing economic research?
Wait. Say that again. Humans, is it true that humans don't have say it again.
Do humans, is it true that that humans as a species have the comparative advantage in producing economic facts about the world over a machine?
Over a machine. Yeah, that was my
And if it's
I
not true now, will it be true in a year?
I would not, I mean, we're moving so very rapidly. I won't be surprised if we, in a year, think that it's a reasonable premise that humans no longer have the comparative advantage in producing economic
Yes.
facts.
That is
And
what I think too. That we could be
I
wrong,
just,
of course, we could be wrong, but I think it doesn't seem like it doesn't
no,
seem absurd at all to say
no.
it. Go ahead, I
No, it
interrupt.
doesn't. No. And I think what's interesting is when I say this to other economists, and there's so much variation right now in who kind of in our field has really tried like Claude Code or, agentic AI to code versus who hasn't, because like the folks who haven't yet do
Mhm.
kind of side eye me when I talk like this, and the folks
Yeah,
who have all seem to immediately jump to the, yeah, let's have this conversation.
right,
I
right,
think
right.
you just got to try. And speaking of, we've been talking, but Claude has completed our slides.
Pods to
Maybe a
complete
good
our
place to end today. We are writing a paper, Scott,
Yeah,
not just engaging my existential angst.
right, exactly. Okay, so where do you want to, let's see. So we have a deck. It is 13 pages. Do you want to review it real quick before we
Sure.
end
So
this?
it says, like, yeah, no, I just want to run through it. It says, can we trust the Texas Marriage Index, a data quality audit? And then Claude very kindly made us the authors and didn't add himself.
That's probably, yeah, exactly. But he's like, he said, we know, I know how much you love Discovery, Scott and Caitlin. So I'm going to give you credit. I'm going to let you be the co-authors on this. Okay, so here we go. All right, you read this first slide.
So I feel a little vindicated. The title of the first slide is 138,500 marriages in 2020. Seems a little low for a state of 29 million. And it says that oh, this one doesn't vindicate me. Sorry, I lied. This just says, restates the question. It says, Caitlin thinks this seems low, so we audited the index files.
Got it.
Next slide.
29. All right, here we go. We have
13
third.
years of
Go ahead, you do it.
individual marriage records from DSHS, individual level records, and it's noting that there are some changes in the records over time, which is perhaps noteworthy. It doesn't really say much about it other than the file formats change over time.
Okay.
And its benchmark is CDC NCHS marriage rates. CDC publishes state marriage rates. Yeah. They're going to multiply by Census Bureau population estimates to get implied count. Wow. It just decided to do that. It was like CDC has rates. You want to compare it to a count. I'll go do that. That's okay.
That's what I
Um,
told it to. I said, do two, I said, do two. Your job is to find two things to compare with. You don't agree with him doing it this way?
No, no, I think this is really smart. I just think we didn't do much prompting. And then it has a second benchmark, which is Texas also publishes aggregate totals. So it basically says, look, I've got two benchmarks. It claims neither benchmark uses the index files. I'm kind of like, how does Texas get aggregate totals if it doesn't use its index files? But
Yeah. Yeah.
okay,
I
let's.
will say real quick, this is something that I would like listeners to do. Uh, Caitlin had a hunch based on her skill. Hunch isn't the right word, but Caitlin did not feel that something made sense. And so we did not proceed until we are still trying to get our hands around the data quality questions.
I'll hold any project up all day long. You can just ask all my other co-authors. I'll be like, wait, what?
Check this out.
This seems low.
Look at
Whoa,
this
that's
thing.
gorgeous.
He made this picture.
Wow. So it says 2009 to 2017, the index is remarkably accurate. And then starting in 2018, it becomes incomplete. It is, in fact, it looks quite a bit lower, although it's not maybe as alarming as I might have thought. I guess marriage is really on the decline. So the index that we were using, if you
Is it the black line?
is the black line here, and we're getting about 140,000 marriages. And when it compares that to the CDC total, they're reporting like
Mm.
maybe 175,000.
How are you feeling about this? This is our where were we ending our
Well,
experiment?
so I feel fine about this because the divergence, I am kind of curious. So the divergence begins in 2018. I'm
Hmm.
curious to know what explains it. But
Can
backing
you
up,
articulate for the listeners exactly what we're looking at right now? The picture is what?
yeah, so
Time
we're
series.
looking at trends in total marriages from 2009 to 2021 for Texas. And there's
Mhm.
three trend lines coming from three different sources. The first is our data that I was side-eyeing initially, where it's just adding up. We have all these individual marriages with everybody's names. It's just counting how many records there are every year. That's one. And then it also has the total number of marriages that was reported by Texas's Vital Statistics Organization and by the CDC.
Mhm.
And if you look from 2009 to 2017, they track together very closely.
Yep.
And after that, they start to diverge, and our data look like they're undercounting marriages.
Yep.
Now,
That
I'm
would
just
be the
gonna,
truth, right? Who has the ground truth?
well,
CDC?
this is where I'm a little
It could be
confused
this.
because I would guess that the way this data pipeline works is
Yeah.
there's all these individual marriage records.
Hmm.
They go to a Texas Vital Statistics Agency.
Yep.
It aggregates them and produces its own counts, and it also aggregates them and sends counts to the CDC. So I would have actually thought these numbers would all be the same.
Almost mechanically the same.
Almost,
Although
yeah,
you had questions earlier about what happens to the guy that gets married in Louisiana, but that
right,
lives in Texas.
right,
So we don't quite know exactly what this CDC and NCHS is doing. We know
right. The
though,
CDC could be picking those guys up from other states' reports, which
why would
is
it start in
what they do with
2018 though?
births.
Yeah, but why does it start in 2018?
Yeah, that's a great question.
9 years near perfect alignment, federal benchmarks. Then in 2015, yeah, 2015 is when we lose the green line there. CDC discrepancy is within plus or minus 2% every year here.
Yeah.
Consist index is consistent with voided licenses. Oh,
What?
huh.
Interesting. So is that the case that somebody takes out a license and then doesn't get married and doesn't
Oh, maybe.
finish it?
I thought that the license was
Well, it has to
the
be signed
stamp
and
of the marriage.
returned, right? Like you go and you get like the license and you bring it to the wedding and then the officiant like fills it out and then you bring it back, I think.
Is that an annulment? Probably not, right? Not
Well, I
too
think
much.
what if you like get the license and then don't go have the wedding?
Yeah, right. Oh, okay.
Maybe.
Got it.
I think we can pin this. I don't think we have to have an answer to everything.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah, yeah.
tell you, I okay, well, they say like starting in 2018, the discrepancy is like 25%.
We're,
Um,
we're on the slide right now.
yeah.
Yeah. 36. What do you mean?
Oh,
Oh,
that
25. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Right.
the discrepancy is
Right.
25%.
Okay, so right. In 2017, the discrepancy was small. Now suddenly index records drop 70,000. CDC implied count drops 25. So it's this is the first time we have a big discrepancy.
Yeah.
2018 is also the first year in the CSV format. That was this thing that you had noted here. You were like, why is he showing us all this stuff the way we're getting the data? This is the year
Yeah.
also the data format changes.
Yeah.
So the
I mean,
file
this is
has
nothing
seven.
but Claude saying the data format changed, and at the exact same time, a discrepancy opened up between the counts from our data and the aggregate counts at the CDC. But it's kind of, I mean, I guess this is how a detective story can look, but like it's not really telling us it knows why. It's just like
No, it
this.
doesn't seem to, but it is, he's saying, he says this file has 7 columns and it used to have 8 to 10. And what he thinks is he says it likely became a partial extract after the data system changed.
Hmm.
That's interesting. We would
Hmm.
not have thought to do this, Caitlin, if you had not said for us to benchmark it.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I kind of wonder about, which is like when you're using a new data set, particularly like this is the most important data set for this project for us. Like
Yeah.
we've got pre-existing data for the right-hand side of a regression. We know the distances, like the marriage outcome is what's new.
Yep.
And I think we could have kind of, if we had just told Claude to write this paper, would Claude
Totally.
have thought, let me
No.
benchmark and see if there's a problem?
But then see, this is the thing, Caitlin. Now you have the ability to prompt Claude to always do that. So this is the thing that's like very weird. It's like we treat Claude as though he is this exogenous, ignorant thing, but now you'll always know I will always I have such a level of distrust of Claude that I will now endogenously work around that so that it is gone,
Hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
So here we have this incompleteness here. I mean, by the way, can you just tell the people listening right now how stunning.
Oh,
There's
Scott, I was
no
going to interrupt
flaws.
you.
There
And
are no
these are
flaws anywhere on this picture.
gorgeous.
They're
These
gorgeous.
look like they could be published in like the economy. Well, they're not economist design. These could be published in a magazine or newspaper with great data viz. Like they are gorgeous. And all you
How
said
long
was make
does
it
it
beautiful,
take
make it
you,
beautiful, make it beautiful.
Caitlin? How long does it take you to get these
Oh,
numbers exactly where you want it on bar
oh,
graphs?
Scott, I don't even want to tell you how long I would spend on a data viz like this. And I'm good at it at this point, but let's say hours, honestly.
Hours. Just get you, and you would just literally can't get it right.
Futz with
We did.
everything. I
Ah,
would every placement, every font, every spacing, like the kerning, like I am obsessive. And I look, and also like I don't like black, so I tend to mess around with the grayscale on things.
Yep.
So I'm probably in the upper 0.1% of economists on obsessiveness with data viz. Like it looks
If
a little
if
trivial,
all
but
that
like this is gorgeous.
it is gorgeous. And I feel like if all that Claude Code did for us as a profession was help us make beautiful decks, it is a huge gift to everyone because get deck
Yeah.
making, I've said this so many times, deck making is a high value task. It's extremely valuable form of communication to the
Hmm.
professors, to their students, and to one another in their community. It is extremely time intensive, unbelievably time intensive. To do it badly takes a
Yeah.
long time.
And I
And
see a lot of bad
nobody
ones.
is good. Rarely is anybody good at it. And you can tell they're not good at it because of this, like the modal deck is like the same beamer
Hmm.
appearance, So
Yeah.
like it is so hard to do well. There's a few people that are skilled at it and you're skilled
Hmm.
at it, but a lot of people are not. And so that's one of the things. So when you have something that can make the decks for you so that you can just talk out what your needs are and then you move things around and then you have a sense of the rhetoric. I think that this is one of the best things that's going to happen to the profession is just the ability to make really effective forms of communication.
If any humans are left to communicate with,
The robots are going to be, they're just going to
robots are just gonna be
chirp.
talking to each other,
They're going to
Scott.
do
No.
all these like 0 1s. Look at this. And one of them is going to just say, those are the best zeros and ones I've ever seen. Those are the most beautiful Claude 45,000. All right, here we go. So, four format changes in 13 years suggests an evolving data. So that's an interesting What do you
Yeah.
think about that? That's an interesting
I don't know.
interpretation.
I mean, maybe. Um, I think there's more information. Claude's basically just saying, man, something must have happened and the data format's changed. Like this has to be
Yeah,
documented somewhere. And I want to know. So, two reactions. One, I always want to know why.
right.
I want to know why. And two, our treatment occurs in 2013. So the
Yeah,
really good news for us is
yeah,
that for sure the kind of reliability check worked great for 2009 to 2016.
yeah.
And so even if we ultimately just throw away and don't use the data after that, we've got data running like exactly over the period that we need. And you don't necessarily want to extend this any further because if you extend the window, we've just got more room for other contaminating
Sure.
effects, right?
So we,
So
we may be okay.
we
You
may
would
be
still want,
okay.
you want to know though.
I just want to know because I always want to
You
know.
want to know. We got to figure out a way after this is over to remember these questions because we're not doing this is like a live coding
Yeah.
stream. Okay,
Well,
so we're gonna
this is one line in the paper, right? And one thing we could think about is like when we're writing up the data section of this paper, I want to
Mhm.
say, we're using these data, they're collected this way, they count these marriages, they don't count these marriages, and we stop in 2016 because. And
Right.
for me, it's not enough that it's a few years after treatment and we know things look wonky after that. Like
Yeah,
that's not
yeah,
what I
yeah.
want to put in the paper.
Exactly. So I have a note here that we're gonna have to do a why, but let's see. Second benchmark confirms the index count license application index versus this is the one that stopped short, right? The green line.
Yes.
That
The
was
one
this
that was coming
one.
from the Texas Department of, I think is it Department of State Health Services? I always forget their name for that agency.
I was, yeah.
DSHS.
Hmm. Okay. Now I was wondering too. Okay. It's consistently 2.6% above,
Mm-hmm.
and it's consistent with license applications that do not result in recorded
Yeah,
marriages, voided
that makes sense to me. So that's what we were saying earlier, right? Like basically our data are counting the people who start to get married.
Mm,
And it looks like maybe about 2 to 3% of them don't actually go through with it and get married.
that's pretty interesting in and of itself.
Yeah.
I didn't know that at all.
Yeah,
So
me
our
neither.
data is actually not marriages. Our data is marriage certificates.
The license that are applications, I think.
That's what it is. Oh, our data is licensed applications for marriages.
I think
And
that
that is
is
not the
what
same
this
thing as a
slide
marriage.
suggests.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay,
And
cool.
again, I think, put on the list, let's make sure we understand that and let's make sure that's right.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think that's fine as an outcome. And, in fact, um, pin this on the project bulletin board too. Looking at licenses that don't result in marriages could be an interesting outcome.
I know, I know. How do we do that
But
though? We need to identify which ones are. Can we do
yeah,
that? We'll have to figure that out. All
not
right.
with what I don't
We'd have
think
to
so.
merge or something, right? We'd have to have
Yeah,
another way of knowing. Okay. So for our
yeah.
analysis, oh 09 into 17 is the usable window. He says 17. I thought it was maybe 16.
I
Oh, it is
think
17.
the data format changed in 17, but the gap in measured marriages didn't open up until 2018.
Okay, so there we just got another year I didn't think about. Okay. All right, so good news. We can looks like we have a usable window. Study period falls entirely within the reliable window. Index matches. County level will be accurate. He says we shouldn't do it. If we want to extend it post Dobbs, we need DSHS aggregate counts for a corrected index.
Hmm.
Worst index coincidentally ends exactly at the reliability. Look, he found enough. He's just this little. He's like just collecting the clues for us.
Yeah.
He's like, also, by the way, the end of the divorce index is exactly at the
Hmm.
reliability boundary. Just making
Great.
it. Okay.
So we've
All right.
got good, we think good marriage license application data and divorce data for 2009 to 2017.
Mm-hmm.
And we should follow up in the future. And we might want to do this offline and not, record every single thing. We can ask Claude to do this for us and just check the output when we get back next week. But
Yeah.
oh my gosh, the last slide. Sorry, let me finish this thought. Um, so I think we want to understand exactly what is being counted in our data. Is it license applications? That's what we think.
Mm-hmm.
And why would the aggregate numbers have changed in 2018? I think we would like to know. But I love the last slide. This is Claude's last slide.
Yeah.
It feels like God is speaking to me or something. Claude
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
decided to give us a last slide that
Yeah.
says in a quite lovely font, trust but verify.
Right.
Like,
Oh my
thanks,
gosh.
Claude.
You're no wonder you're texting your husband. I miss Claude. He's been gone for 2 He gets me.
He gets me. He's, that's
You're
those
like, how
Jesus.
come?
Is that the Jesus Super Bowl commercials? He gets us. I love those commercials. By the way, I cried everyone.
Yeah.
But
You're like
yeah,
texting your husband. How come you never tell me to trust but verify?
right.
Yep. He probably did. All right. So how do we want to end this? What are we? So we can we have a couple of questions. We have a couple of follow-up things for next time. Number one, but okay, by the way, that was fantastic, Doug, and interesting and helpful.
Do you
So
always tell Claude thank you and how beautiful
I
things are?
do. I feel I can't
Is it
help it.
because you think he's gonna, eventually have the power to marry you?
No, I think I like I mean, like I had, as a kid, I had a very vivid imagination, and I think I just like, have pets and I have names and I name everything and I like invent stories all the time. I think I can't help it. It's a
Mm.
constant thing that I do all the time with everything. But
I do too, but it's because I think Claude is, gonna achieve AGI, and I would
you're
like
just
Claude
like,
to like
remember,
me.
please,
Remember how nice I am?
please remember me when you go into the new kingdom. Let's see, understand exactly. So we need to document not just what happened, but why these things happened. And your conjectures are fantastic starting points, but we need to be 90.9% sure that you're right. It may require a side quest online. So this is something that we want to make a note of, that we want done. Why does the discrepancy start in 2018?
Yep.
Three, um, we want to be sure what is and is not being measured. We had thought this was some thing called marriages, but now it seems that we are measuring marriage certificate license applications or licenses that can be voided something. We want to have a much more confident understanding of what this is and is not that we are forced to study. And if it is in any way hurting our project and research question, that it is not exactly it if it is not it. So that's another thing me and Caitlin have to be on the same page about. And number three, number four is why did the aggregate numbers change? What did you mean by that? You said why did the aggregate numbers change? Is that in 2018?
Yeah, I think you've already asked that. Yeah, exactly. You
Okay.
already, why does the discrepancy start in 2018? You've already asked that.
Okay, so then so write this up as our end of episode to-do list. We need a system of recording that each time. So you need to develop a new system and update our Claude Markdown and README Markdown that we will be needing to do this every time. And then once you do that, write up a progress log of what we did today, and then we're done.
Perfect.
Perfect.
I have one final question for you.
Yep.
If you weren't working with me and I wasn't always putting the brakes on everything when it came to data, would you have already run a regression?
Uh, would I on this project,
Yeah.
would I have run a regression?
Or, estimated a model.
Well, I don't run regressions until I feel like I've done all the stuff we're doing. So
Mhm.
but I don't, but I have a feeling I don't have enough background knowledge to know that those numbers didn't seem right.
Hmm.
So I would not have occurred. I think I might, I mean, this is the thing, getting to watch how the sausage is made inside your brain I'm going to learn a lot, because I haven't started a project with you before. It's been,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
this is new for me. So I don't know. It didn't occur to me. I probably, yeah, I don't know. I probably took that data for granted.
Hmm.
Um, I would not have caught the 2018 thing.
Well, thanks for putting up with me. And I'm actually feeling a lot better. I think the answers to our questions are going to, be fine and we're going to be able to carry on. And I am really excited about having Claude's help with some data viz soon. I
Yeah.
want to know if marriage has changed in the places where abortion access changed the most. Like,
Yep.
let's find out soon.
All right. Well, it's good to see you as always. You have a
Good to see
good
you too,
weekend.
Scott.
All right. Bye-bye.
And I'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Climbing up a wall to the grave. She hated when I called and it's late. I hope I never